Electric type Pokemon are often considered the glass cannons of Pokemon, and this is for good reason, as electric type Pokemon often have high offensive stats and good speed, but are often lacking on the defensive side. However, the main glaring issue with electric types is that they typically lack good coverage for other typings. Take Jolteon for example, who in Gen 5 only learns 5 moves that are 80 base power or higher that are not electric type. And not only that, 3 of those 5 moves are also physical. Because of these drawbacks, electric types are hard to be versatile with. But what if I told you there was a trainer who laughed at the thought of these weaknesses? A trainer so brave that he sought to prove the haters wrong and complete a monotype challenge in the Unova Pokemon League, but using only electric types was not enough for this trainer. They sought to expose the frauds for who they were and used the self-imposed Hardcore Nuzlocke rules to prove this. The full rule set can be found in the description. However, the basics are that they must catch the first electric type Pokemon found in each route. If one of their Pokemon faints, it's gone forever. They're not allowed to use items in battle, withheld items excluded, and they cannot level up any Pokemon past the gym leader's highest level Pokemon. In Unova, a total of 12 electric type species of Pokemon can be found. However, with route limitations and excluding legendaries, only 7 can be found and caught. However, this is not just a tale of that trainer. This is a story of all 7 of those strong Pokemon. And I'm sure the question on your mind is, how far did they get to? And I'll tell you that story starting now. The journey begins with obtaining a starter, but it's definitely not one of these 3 chumps. Although Tepic is selected so that the rival has Oshawott. The real starter is Margit the Mareep, found in Floresci Ranch. Margit is an adamant young Mareep who has dreams of watching his team take over the Pokemon League. One thing to note is that every team member in this tale has their own time to shine at one point or another in this story. With no access to any other Pokemon in this area, it's time to face the first gym leader, Cheren. Cheren has a Patrat and a Lillipup, which is a tough wall to climb for one Mareep. Because of his adamant nature, Margit's damage is neutered a little bit, but it is supported by the fact that he has a 31 IV in special attack. Margit, however, is outsped by Patrat due to his 0 IV in speed. In order to solve both of these problems, Margit massacres all nearby wildlife in order to gain enough EVs for this battle. After a lot of training, it's time to face Cheren. With some speed EVs and special attack EVs, Margit is able to outspeed and 2-shot the Patrat, taking minimal damage in the process. Next is Lillipup, who is impossible to outspeed. So, Margit lands a Thunder Wave while Lillipup just goes for a workup. From here, Margit just growls until Lillipup is fully paralyzed enough to the point where it is -1 attack. From here, it's just 3 Thunder Shocks and Lillipup goes down, which earns the basic badge. With the new level cap, Margit is able to become a Flaffy, and at the same time we're introduced to another hero of our story, Godric the Magnemite. Godric has a phenomenal typing, as Steel in Generation 5 is unnerfed and insanely broken. Like, just look at this type defense chart, an absolute beast of a tank. And he proved this well in his first ever battle against Roxy and her poison types. Here, Godric proves his defensive capabilities as he laughs in the face of Roxy's coughing and Whirlipede while launching Thundershock after Thundershock until victory. With the Toxic badge obtained, our hero takes a little detour and goes to watch a movie. On a serious note, this Pokestar Studios bit is really stupid, but I do think it's funny how everyone watching the movie does fall asleep. After this, it's time to take a boat and head straight to Castelia City. Once here, our hero meets a newest member of our party, and she is Millennia the Eevee. She is a proud and powerful young Eevee who unfortunately has to sit on the bench for now, but will get her time to shine later on in the run. But for now, it's time to face Berg for the Insect badge. Berg leads with Swadloon, while our hero leads with Margit. Swadloon and Margit trade a bunch of damage, leading to Berg using his potion on Swadloon. After this happens, our hero switches Margit out to Godric. After a Magnet Bomb, Swadloon goes down and Godric levels up, which is allowed by the way because the level cap restriction ends after the battle starts. This gives Godric the access to Mirror Shot, a strong steel type special move that'll be useful for Leavanny. Next is Dwebble, who goes down after 1 Thundershock and then 2 Thundershocks. Lastly is Leavanny, who, after landing a soft Razor Leaf, gets paralyzed by a Thunder Wave. This immediately pays off when, after a Mirror Shot from Godric, Leavanny gets immediately fully paralyzed next turn. On the next turn, after a Mirror Shot, Leavanny just goes for a String Shot. Little does he know, in Gen 5, Thunder Wave reduces your speed by 75%, meaning Leavanny will virtually never outspeed Magnemite. One more sonic boom into a thundershock is all it takes to take care of Levani, and our hero earns themselves the insect badge. With a new level cap and access to Nimbasa City, our hero earns themselves a lot of new upgrades. First up, Margit becomes an Ampharos, Malenia can join the team after becoming a Jolteon, Godric evolves into a Magneton, and finally, the newest hero joins the party, Placidusax the Emolga. Placidusax is arguably one of the most important members of our party, as he is the only person who can reliably switch into ground type moves without taking any damage at all. And it's time to face Elisa. Elisa leads with her own Emolga, while our hero leads with Godric. Emolga immediately goes for Volt Switch and switches out to Zebstrika, while Godric just sets up a Reflect. Then Godric switches out to Malenia, but not before Zebstrika catches Godric with a weak Pursuit. Malenia is then able to spam Dig on both of the grounded electric types, staying relatively healthy due to a held leftovers. And once Flaffy goes down, Emolga comes out and it's just a few Thunder Fangs to win the battle. With this, our hero earns the Thunder Badge. However, next up is the hardest challenge yet. You see, the next gym is the ground type gym, the epitome of hard counters for electric types. But fortunately, we get an upgrade in the form of Godric becoming a Magnezone in Chargestone Cave, as well as a new acquisition in Queen Marika the Joltik. She won't get to do much for now, but once she evolves, she'll be insanely useful. Her plus speed nature and very high special attack means she'll be able to clean up teams faster than you could say clean up teams. But now, the day of reckoning has come, and our heroes face an unsurmountable task, and that task is to get past Clay deathless. You see, at the moment, there is not a single team member currently that we have that is really expendable. But where there's a will, there's a way, and our hero has cooked up an amazing plan that is unfortunately highly improbable. You see, what I didn't mention before is that Mirror Shot is only 85% accurate. However, this plan will only work if we land 2 Mirror Shots in a row. So, as the battle begins, the team can do nothing but pray that this works out. Clay leads Krokorok, while Godric is sent out first to do the dirty work. With a held choice specs, it's all on him just to land this Mirror Shot, which he does, and one-shots the Krokorok. However, he's not done yet, as in comes Sandslash. Sandslash will too go down in one hit, so long as Godric doesn't miss. But fortunately, he lands, and lastly comes Excadrill. Now this guy doesn't go down in one hit like the rest. But here's where Placidusax shines as we switch out to him on an incoming Bulldoze that would surely knock out Godric. But here's the scariest part of the plan, as Placidusax has to go for a Flying Gem boosted Acrobatics right in front of an Excadrill with Rock Slide. Now, Placidusax was given just enough defense EVs to the point where he would live a Rock Slide so long as it's not a crit. And so, as the Rock Slide lands, all we could do is watch the health bar drain, tensely waiting to see if Placidusax drops. But he pulls through like a boss. And with this survival, this basically guarantees us the battle. From here, it's a switch out to Malenia, and the pressure is on her to win this battle for us. Now that Acrobatics was strategical, as it didn't drop Excadrill low enough to proc the Citrus Berry, but it did bring him low enough to the point where a Ground Gem boosted Dig will knock him out. And so once Jolteon lands the final hit, the battle is won and the Quake Badge is obtained. After that, it's some Team Plasma stuff, and then it's off to Mistralton City. Right outside Mistralton City, Torrent the Zebstrika joins the team. She's the trusty steed of this group. Real quickly, it's time to face Skyla and her flying types. This battle goes as easy as you would expect, as Jolteon lands 1, 2, 3 discharges to finish the battle. And I think it's pretty funny that right after this, we have to ride in the same plane with her. Personally, I would crash the fuck out, and that plane would never reach its destination. After a quick walk through Reversal Mountain, our heroes arrive in Undella Town. It is just off the coastline in Seaside Cave, and it is there where we find our final encounter for the entire run, the Elden Beast herself. Now the reason the Elden Beast is Placidusax Placidusax's second half is because it is also immune to ground moves just like him. But not only that, Electros has genuinely good coverage, learning many different moves from many different typings. And not only that, Electros has pretty good stats in terms of damage. Their cooperation in future battles cannot be underestimated or understated. After some more Team Plasma stuff again, it's time to face Drayden in Opaloosid City. This is a dragon type gym, and all of his Pokemon resist electric types attacks. This battle will end up as a war of attrition, which will be kinda tough for my frail electric types. The battle begins with Druddigon versus Margit. Turn 1, Margit outspeeds to land a Thunder Wave, and Druddigon just gets fully paralyzed right after. The goal here is just to get some chip for later on, so Margit goes for an Electric Gem boosted Discharge. But then Druddigon lands a crit crunch, meaning Margit has to switch out next turn with a Volt Switch. Out comes Godric, who resists all attacks and is able to stay healthy due to leftovers. Godric goes for a Charge Beam, aiming for the special attack boost, which he gets on the first try, while Druddigon just lands a weak crunch again. Next turn, Godric goes for a Magnet Rise to prepare for the incoming Flygon next turn, while Druddigon just lands a Revenge. Unfortunately, Godric's next Charge Beam does not get the special attack raise, meaning we won't be able to one-shot the incoming Flygon. This means Flygon gets to land a Dragon Tail, dragging out the Elden Beast. Flygon heals, and the Elden Beast lands a Flying Gem boosted Acrobatics to bring him down to about a third. Next turn, the Elden Beast flinches to a Rock Slide, and then the turn after she's able to take out Flygon with another Acrobatics. Next comes out Haxorus, and I can't really stay in because I don't want to die to a Dragon Tail, but at the same time, I don't want to let him get a free Dragon Dance. The decision to switch out to Queen Marika is made, however she just gets switched out again by a Dragon Tail dragging out Margit. This is especially bad, so Margit once again switches out to Placidusax, and Haxorus reads the fuck out of it and Dragon Dances anyways. Now I'm stuck in a 50-50. I don't know if the Haxorus will Dragon Dance again or just straight up attack. I can Encore predicting a Dragon Dance, but at the same time it's really risky because if I don't take him out within the Encore's duration, I'll have to deal with like a +6 attack and speed Haxorus. So I ultimately decide that damage will overall be more valuable as a +2 Haxorus can't really knock out Godric. Of course Haxorus Dragon Dances, and I'm afraid it might be time to say goodbye to a team member, but something snaps. The presence of his Elden Beast powers him up, and Placidusax lands a Flying Gem boosted Acrobatics critical hit to one-shot the Haxorus from full HP. This insane clutch wins our heroes the battle, and they obtain the Legend Badge. Deathless, by the way. But right after this, the stupid Team Plasma comes back again. After helping Drayden deal with Team Plasma, it's time to head to Humilao City and challenge the 8th gym. This fight should also be super easy. Marlin leads with Caracasa while Millennia is up first. Millennia lands a Discharge to bring Caracasa down to sturdy, while Caracasa lands a huge crunch critical hit to bring down Millennia into the yellow. Next turn, Caracasa heals while another Discharge brings it back down to 1 HP. Next turn, Caracasa goes down, and then Wailord is next to come in. Another Discharge is all it takes to take down Wailord in one hit. Lastly is Jellicent, who won't go down in one hit, so it's a switch out to Godric that comes out next. A Scald brings Godric down to about half HP, and Godric goes for a Discharge, bringing Jellicent down to healing range with the berry, but this risks a crit. From here, it's a switch out to Elden Beast, who takes about a third from a Brine, but then heals a little bit back with leftovers. Next turn, Jellicent lands a Scald, which brings Elden Beast down to a third, and also burns, meaning a Spark will not kill the Jellicent next turn. And so, finally, a switch to Torrent and a Wild Charge means the Jellicent goes down and we win the gym. Next up is, you guessed it, more Team Plasma stuff. I guess now's the best time to mention that I've never actually seen this part of the game before this recording. And let me tell you, all this Team Plasma stuff is really boring, I can't lie. Not to mention this stupid fucking puzzle. Whoever created teleport puzzles just really needs to never touch the game design room ever again. But finally, after that, it's a quick double battle with me and my bro as we clean up these Team Plasma losers. After that is, oh, not more puzzles, fuck! Finally, after all that stupid shit, it's time to face Chorus. And let me pause for a second. This music is fucking banging! Chorus leads with Magneton while I lead with Millennia. A dig puts Magneton down to 1 HP, which means Chorus heals while I chip it with Shadow Ball. Next turn Dig fully takes it out, and Magnezone is next. A dig brings Magnezone down to Sturdy, and it just goes for a Thunder Wave, which gives me back the HP that I lost fighting Magneton. A dig fully finishes off Magnezone the next turn. Next is Kling Klang, so I Volt Switch out to Godric, who will take 0 damage from any of the attacks. Kling Klang goes down to a Discharge, and out comes Beheeyem. Next is a switch out to Queen Marika, but it seems to be a mistake as Beheeyem just goes for a Calm Mind on the switch. Next turn Marika goes for a Signal Beam, while Beheeyem goes for another Calm Mind. And I guess this game doesn't want to have fun, so I just switch out to Godric, who can tank all of Beheeyem's attacks without taking any damage. From here it's a simple 1v1 until Beheeyem goes down and out comes Metang. And a couple turns later it goes down to a Discharge and the fight is over. Next is this super long monologue about how Ghetsis is super evil. A problem that I have with evil teams in Pokemon is that they're just evil for no reason. These evil leaders are honestly really boring, and honestly, I find teams like Team Skull, Team Star, and Team Yell to be much more interesting and fun. But oh well. Next up is a Shadow Triad who all have Pawniard, so yeah. Next up is the final confrontation with Ghetsis, and can we talk about this for a second? This dude was genuinely about to kill like a 10-year-old. What the fuck is Game Freak cooking? But fortunately, the goat of all goats, N, arrives just in time to save us from Kyurem's wrath. But then Ghetsis does his best Kenjaku cosplay and uses a merger to get Kyurem to absorb Zekrom. I'm unsure why Kyurem Black doesn't just straight up kill us now, but it's time to battle him. All it takes is 2 flash cannons from Godric, and then it's time to face Ghetsis. He leads with Cofagrigus, while Godric comes out first. Godric starts off strong with a crit flash cannon to take out Cofagrigus in a single hit. Next is Seismitoad, who knows Earthquake, so it's a switch out to the Elden Beast, who has Levitate and is immune to it. Seismitoad goes for a Muddy Water that wouldn't kill even if it was a crit, and then Elden Beast goes for a 4-time super effective Giga Drain, which one-shots. Next comes Drapion, who goes for a Night Slash that crits and deals way more damage than usual due to Drapion's ability Sniper. But even with Sniper, Elden Beast was in no real danger and just goes for a Volt Switch. Out comes Millennia, who goes for another Volt Switch, which should have killed, but I guess I did my calcs wrong. Placidusax then comes in and takes about half from a Night Slash that fortunately didn't crit. A full restore means Placidusax can't kill, so it's a Volt Switch back out to Millennia. It's another Volt Switch back out to Placidusax, and you might be wondering why I switched him back in. Well, Drapion has Earthquake, and for some reason the AI just refuses to click it. Not really sure why. Anyways, one last Volt Switch kills, and it's out to Millennia to try and bait in Hydreigon. Next is a switch to Queen Marika, who dodges a Dragon Rush, and then a Choice Specs boosted Signal Beam is able to take out Hydreigon. Next comes in Electros, which Marika just goes for another strong Specs boosted Signal Beam to bring down Electros to about a third. Signal Beam also confuses and Electros hits himself in the process. One more Signal Beam and down goes Electros. Lastly comes Toxicroak, and then a quick pivot to Godric, and then back out to Placidusax with a final Flying Gym boosted Acrobatics to one-shot the Toxicroak and defeat Ghetsis one final time to end all his stupid shenanigans. After all that's wrapped up, it's time to head to the Pokemon League and challenge the Elite Four. With lots of preparation and planning, here is my final team for the Elite Four and Champion. I believe we have what it takes to destroy these frauds and become the Unova League champions. And first on our escapade is Caitlyn and her Psychic types. She leads with Musharna, while Marika comes out first. The Queen lands a Life Orb boosted Signal Beam to bring Musharna just above healing range. Musharna just goes for a Yawn, and next turn a Volt Switch takes out Musharna and out comes Godric. Reuniclus is next, and it's a Volt Switch from Godric to switch back out to the Queen, while Reuniclus just misses a Focus Blast. Another Life Orb boosted Signal Beam takes out Reuniclus, and out comes Sigilif. A Life Orb boosted Thunderbolt takes him out in one hit, and out comes Gothitelle. Next is a Volt Switch from the Queen and switch out to Placidusax, who takes a huge chunk from Psychic. Another Volt Switch comes out to use the Citrus Berry, and out comes Godric. One final Thunderbolt later and down goes Gothitelle, and we beat Caitlyn. Next up out of the four is Chantel and her Ghost types. She leads with Cofagrigus while Godric comes out first once again. It just takes a couple Thunderbolts to take down Cofagrigus while Leftovers keeps Godric healthy. Next is Golurk, who's going for Earthquake, so it's a switch out to Placidusax, who encores the Golurk and proceeds to take it down with 2 Acrobatics. Next comes Chandelure, who is very scary and nobody on my team can survive a crit fire blast. So after a volt switch for some chip, out comes Millennia, who has to dodge this crit. Fortunately she does, and in a choice specs boosted Thunderbolt is enough to take down Chandelure from the HP at which it's at. Next is Drifblim, which is somehow tanky enough to still survive a choice specs boosted Thunderbolt, so it's a switch to Godric, who is able to 1v1 her very easily. With that we defeat Chantel and it's on to the next. Next up is Grimsley and his dark types. He leads with Lipard, who is able to go down in a single Thunderbolt from Godric. Next up is Crocodile, who is going for Earthquake, so once again it's a switch out to Placidusax, an Encore on the Earthquake, a U-turn instead of Volt Switch out to the Elden Beast, and then 2 Drain Punches to take her down. Next up is Scrafty, and I'm expecting a fighting move here, so I Volt Switch out to Placidus, who unfortunately gets hit by a Rock Tomb. Fortunately no crit, and in a Acrobatics is able to take down Scrafty in one hit. Lastly is Bisharp, who is really unable to do any damage to Godric, so it's a simple U-turn out to him, and then a quick 1v1 with a little Defiant scare, but nothing too crazy, and we win the battle. Lastly is Marshall, who is definitely the most tricky one to deal with. He leads with Throw, and first to come out is Godric. Godric is safe from Bulldoze with an air balloon, so he sets up a Reflect first, while Throw just misses a Rock Tomb. Then it's a Volt Switch out to the Elden Beast, who ends up taking a crit on the switch in, but takes out Throw with a Flying Gem boosted Acrobatics. Next is Mienshao, who has a very scary high jump kick to switch into, so I just stay in risking the crit, which we dodge, and then an Acrobatics takes down Mienshao from full HP. Next up is Conkelder. On an incoming Hammer Arm, it's a switch out to Placidusax, and then a U-turn out to Godric on the Stone Edge. Godric outspeeds and gets up for Reflect, but is still hit by a nasty Hammer Arm. Next is another switch out with Volt Switch to bring in Placidusax. And even after a Citrus Berry proc, Placidusax is able to kill with an Acrobatics boosted by Flying Gem. Lastly is Sock, who just goes for Brick Break, while 2 Acrobatics kill him. And with that, the Elite Four is defeated. And here we are, climbing up the steps to meet our hero's fate. We arrive in Iris's lair and commence our final battle. She leads Hydreigon, while Godric comes out first as a classic. Hydreigon goes for Flamethrower, which Godric is always safe from, even from a crit because of sturdy, but we avoid the crit anyways, and then a choice specs boosted Signal Beam is able to take out Hydreigon from full HP. Next is Aggron, who is going for Earthquake, so then it's a switch out to Placidusax, who encores and then switches out to the Elden Beast, who doesn't quite take out Aggron due to a heal, but a Volt Switch back to Placidusax right before the encore ends. Another encore plus Volt Switch back out to the Elden Beast means he's able to take him out. Next up is Haxorus, who I still think is gonna go for Earthquake, but it goes for X Scissor instead. Why does it do this? Can someone please explain this to me? Fortunately, it works out in our favor as Haxorus gets paralyzed by the static. From here, it's a Volt Switch out to Godric, while Haxorus just gets fully paralyzed. A choice specs boosted Flash Cannon is able to take out Haxorus, and out comes Drudagon. And here, it's time to say our first goodbye to anybody in the run. Our valiant Godric fought so hard, but Sheer Force Life Orb is so hard to switch into, meaning Godric must go down here. But a miracle happens and Godric lands a critical hit Flash Cannon to survive. This means Lapras comes in and survives the Flash Cannon on half HP. Once again, it's time to say goodbye, is what I would say if Godric wasn't a fucking beast. One more Flash Cannon takes out Lapras, and I decide fuck it, let's do it deathless. On the final Archeops, I switch out to the Queen Marika, of course, who is always safe even to a Rock Slide due to a Focus Sash. One last Thunderbolt takes out Archeops from full HP, and the run is completed. I really had a blast while recording this video, and playing this game was really fun. It was the first time I ever got past the 7th gym, ironically, and it was really fucking fun. With all that being wrapped up, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment for which challenge I should do next. Also, I'll be aiming for a video every weekend, so make sure you look out for those. Okay now, bye bye!